Okay, so I did mine on option 2, which was programs to foster tolerance. I called it the Black Excellence Initiative, just something that I felt like resonated with what I did over the course of the quarter. So basically, I spent time talking to Black students at UCI. So I specifically targeted like people around me and my community, meaning like also within Irvine. And I went around and went to like a whole bunch of organizations. So that includes like the Black Student Union, NESB, the Center for Black Culture Resources. And I talked to a whole bunch of people to try to figure out what it is that the Black students at UCI specifically need. And I came up with a list of requests and stuff that I believe will help tolerance and also just build a better place at UCI in general. So it's split into 3/4 categories, which is my statement of intent, and then 2 categories that I labeled Black resources and then anti-Black policies. So I won't read my entire statement of intent to you guys, but just the first couple of sentences. The Black students at UCI currently face large school-wide issues which deeply impact our day-to-day education and lives. These issues include, but are not limited to, underrepresentation in student body, underrepresentation among faculty and administrators, and a curriculum that is not fully representative of people of color's history and experiences, specifically in English and history classes. So that's just like a brief overview of my statement of intent. And then, so moving on, I really wanted to address what is tolerance and the way that we think about it. So the common definition is, the sympathy or indulgence for beliefs or practices differing from conflicting with one's own. So basically that we have sympathy for other people's, whether it is culture, ideas, or beliefs. And it doesn't mean that you believe it yourself, but that you just have room and empathy for it. So how can we create this? Overall, I landed on 4 ideas, which I believed are representation. So seeing Black people in either our faculty and having it reflect the student population. So also education, so that's unlearning and learning new techniques of tolerance. Creating a safe space in general for Black students on campus, and then also exposing people to new cultures and new ideas, because a lot of intolerance has to do with like living in your own bubble and not really interacting with people who are different from you. So one of my first requests is that the hiring of Black faculty with an emphasis to hire from the previous graduating class. So noting like to hire from the previous graduating class, I really thought that that would help with the Black retention rate at this school also, and increasing students and faculty. So the first thing I noted was Black academic advisors. So currently in all of the schools, there's only 2 Black academic advisors. So in most of them are in the social science class, but unfortunately there isn't any in other schools. So I also asked to hire an additional program coordinator in the Center of Black Cultures, Resource and Research. Currently, they're understaffed. It's only 2 pro staff working, and then I believe they have 3 students, but it doesn't currently fit the need of the Black students. They're completely understaffed, and all the time they're dealing with complaints from the entire Black population at UCI, but it's only 2 people who are directly handling them and trying to like create more resources for them. So another thing I noted was a minimum of 2 Black professional psychologists to accommodate the specific mental health needs of Black students. So like I said, there's very minimal Black faculty at UCI, but in specific, there's no Black psychologists like at all in the student center. So that's including the student center for wellness and also the counseling center. And then each of the like under the counseling center, there's like 5 smaller offices, and each of them also have no Black psychologist. And I think that just goes to note the lack of almost care for these students and the fact that there's no representation of the people that are directly dealing with their problems. Okay, so I also have anti-Black policies, which is policies that I came with that I believe would help to reduce the anti-Blackness on campus. So for the first one is to create and implement a zero tolerance policy for anti-Blackness. So I don't know if anyone knows, but throughout the year, there has been cases of anti-Blackness on campus, and students weren't notified up until like 2 weeks to like sometimes a month later of when it happened. Most specifically, there was like white supremacist stickers that were stuck on people's like housing dorms. So like for Black students on campus, that can be an imminent threat. And I believe that the people who did it, they face no consequences. Like they, or at least in my opinion, they only got to like, they moved them out of that dorm, but I digress. I believe that there should be a zero tolerance policy for anti-Blackness just in general. And then next, I said, like I stated before, students weren't notified up until 2 weeks to like a month later. So it can pose an imminent threat to the student body and as well as the university in general. But this includes, but it's not limited to the presence of white supremacy groups, hate crimes, organized racial violence, an individual or group made threats that endanger group safety. Like I said, it is an imminent threat for people of color on this campus, and that doesn't only include just Black students. And then the third policy that I had was the creation and implementation of an anti-Black mandatory training course to be taught at all incoming students at the UCI Student Parent Organization Program, also known as SPOP. So currently, SPOP does have like an anti-drug and anti-sexual assault like training course that like every student is mandated to take, but there's nothing about race-based violence, and specifically, there's nothing about anti-Blackness on campus. And I think at a university in which we're all learning and consuming new knowledge every single day, some of that knowledge should be about like race-based issues in society and specifically on our campus. And
thank you, Arletha. Those are great ideas. Was that it? Are you finished?
Yes, that was
okay. It. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to suggest that you do your final paper in the form of a memo to me and to Doug Haynes, Haynes, who is the vice provost in charge of the inclusion and diversity on campus. And if you're okay with it, I'll go through it and make some suggestions, and then maybe we can send it to Haynes and maybe they'll actually do something.
Actually, that's a part of my research for this memo. I actually did have a meeting with Doug Haynes.
Oh, you did? Oh, good. So is he open to some of these ideas?
Yeah, we had a couple meetings and a couple like town hall meetings, and the like staff, they do seem open to like the ideas of like me and like other Black students on campus. Like I said, this was like a collaboration effort. Like I did really work a lot with other students on campus, and like the Black Student Union in specific. So like it's a group effort, but yes.
Oh, that's great. So include those in the memo. And are you graduating or are you still going to be here next year?
Graduating.
You are graduating. Oh, all you great students are going out into the world. Well, okay, that's good. Did you obviously this has been a longer project for you. You've been working with this at all. Did the course change anything for you? Did pulling this all together, did that help you in any way or not?
Yeah, I would say like a couple of the assignments like really helped, specifically when I was talking about like prejudice, and then also like the interview, like talking about like differences and stuff like that. It helped me like prep to talk to like student staff, but I also learned a lot about like what tolerance is and how we can expand on that idea outside of just like straightforward like emotional needs, but that it also could include like policy making and stuff like that.